Rex time. Welcome to the Rex Time podcast. Glad you folks came back. All 7 of you, much appreciated. Check out this hat. It matches my shirt, I think. Kinda. Cool hat. Buddy gave it to me. Pretty stoked on that. Okay, today we are going to be talking about being a billionaire. And what amount of money you should pass by if you're walking down the street. So today's all about finances. Okay, so a billionaire or someone that's very rich. Think about 20 years ago. If you had a lot of money, you would buy a bunch of CDs. I had friends that spent all their money on CDs, and they had like a whole wall, like racks and racks of CDs. It's probably thousands of dollars. But now I own a million times more music just because of YouTube. So in a sense, in terms of music, I am a billionaire. So like only a billionaire could have owned a million CDs back in the day, but now we all own that. So we're all music billionaires. And in terms of movies, did you have those friends that used to collect DVDs? Now if you have like Netflix or Hulu or a couple of those, so for like $20 a month, you are essentially a movie mogul. You're a billionaire. You have a library full of movies. So I had relatives that would invest in laser discs. They had like a wall of laser discs. It was probably $10,000 worth. Where is it now? It's just gone. It's disappeared. So we're just doing so much better in terms of entertainment. So let's go back even further. Let's go back to like the the year 1700. One of the richest men alive was Louis XIV. Was it the Sun King or something? So powerful. He called himself the Sun King because much like the sun, how everything went around the sun, everything revolved around Louis XIV, the Sun King. Everything revolved around him. So he didn't even have like CDs. He would just have to have a band play for him. So he couldn't really have that going 24/7. So the people 20 years ago were much better off than Louis XIV. And he didn't even have movies. He would have people performing plays for him live. So let's just compare ourselves now to the richest man, one of the richest men in the world at the year 1700. He didn't even have like a toilet that worked. They had chamber potties. They just had like a nice piece of pottery that they would go to the bathroom in, and then then they'd put it out in the hallway, and then a chambermaid would have to come by and grab it and throw it out in the yard. So if you have a toilet, you're doing better than Louis XIV. If you have running hot water, you're doing better than Louis XIV. Yeah, the Palace of Versailles out in France there had some fountains and stuff, but they didn't really have indoor plumbing. So if you're taking a hot shower, you're doing better than the Sun King. So he could have so much food, but he didn't have much choice. He could have pheasant or beef or lamb or potatoes or rice, but we have access to Chinese food, Korean food, Caribbean food, Mexican food. Like we have so much more variety, and I'm just a normal schlub, and I just have way more access to food than Louis XIV. Or think about biblical times, the land of milk and honey. Okay, I can go to the store and grab some milk and honey for under, $10. Amazing. Like the land of milk and honey. We live in the land of milk and honey. We are all so rich relative to 200 years ago, 300 for sure, 2,000 years ago. This is insane. So yeah, we're just living an amazing life. So Louis XIV, if he wanted to go somewhere, he had to go by carriage. We have cars, we have roads, we have airplanes. You could fly to the opposite side of the world in like 20 hours. That's amazing. You can pick up your cell phone and call someone on the other side of the world, and it's gonna cost you, I guess the math would be kind of hard because you have to buy the phone, but in theory, it's just a couple cents. Like that technology is amazing. The communication we have is way better than the year 1700. The transportation, the sanitation, we have nice clean streets and stuff. There's not people throwing feces everywhere. So everything is just so much better now for the average person than the richest person 300 years ago. So sometimes I just think about that. It's like, wow, I'm basically, if you kind of put yourself in the year 1700, like I'm a king. Or even, since it's all just perspective, even right now you can say, wait a second, I'm basically a billionaire. It's like, what's the difference between me and Bill Gates? Yeah, he has tons of money, but is his breakfast that much better than my breakfast? Like, I had some English muffins today. What did he have? He probably had English muffins also. Like, his breakfast couldn't have been that much better than my breakfast, or his lunch, or his dinner. So we're eating at about the same level. Healthcare, it's about, basically the same. We both have access to vaccines and medicines and doctors and surgeons. Yeah, he'd get better treatment if he had a rare disease, but essentially we both have the same level of healthcare. He has a big house. I have a tiny house, but do you really need a big house? You can only enjoy, each room in the house for so long. Like, what Bill Gates probably doesn't even go into 99% of the rooms in his house. He probably just sits in his study, just like I do. He's in the living room, the kitchen, the study, the bathroom. Take a little walk in the backyard. Okay, that's all you really need. You don't need more than that. So Bill Gates and me, like, he's a billionaire, but what does he have access to that I don't? Oh, he can go on a cool vacation. Okay, I can go on a cool vacation too. I can just rent an Airbnb. So yes, he can do things on a grander scale, but essentially his life really isn't that much better than mine. It's about the same. Like, we're pretty much all billionaires. And to make your life even more awesome, I realized that there's little tricks. So a buddy taught me some ideas, and I'm like, oh, wait a second, because I always say like I'm a billionaire. He's like, yeah, but do you have this? And I was like, oh, now we're talking like multi-billionaire. So phone charger. I was going to grab a phone charger, but I don't have. It's over there. A phone charger. So I used to just have one phone charger, and I would take it with me to bed, take it with me to the couch, put it in my backpack when I went on trips. And he's like for $20, just buy like 4 of them. Leave one by your bed, one by the couch, one in the office, one in your backpack. And now wherever you go, you have a phone charger. Life is way better. You're a super billionaire. I was like, oh, yeah. That same buddy he's like, chapstick. He goes, same thing with chapstick. He goes, you have one chapstick. He goes, and what? You take it with you over here. You have one by the kitchen there. Just buy a bunch of chapsticks and make it fun. Don't just buy like a bunch of the same. Chapstick has all kinds of flavors. I was looking for my chapsticks over there. So they have like little 3-packs that are called like s'mores. So it's the graham cracker flavor, the chocolate flavor, the marshmallow flavor. They also have like the summer series, which has like cotton candy and snow cone and limeade. You got the mint, the strawberry margarita, the pina colada. There's just so many flavors. So he's like, just have like 20 of them lying around all over the place. And so it's always a treat. You're always just like, ooh, I wonder what flavor of chapstick I'm going to get. So silly things like that. Also, you're not going to like this one. It's a little wasteful, but like napkins. Like, if Bill Gates drops a napkin, does he care? No, he just grabs another napkin. Does he like reuse? Does he save half the napkin? No, he just wastes it. So napkins are pretty cheap, like what, 5 to 10 cents? Like, waste a napkin or 2 each day. No big deal. Which gets me to my other thought about being a billionaire. This one's difficult. It's taken a while to train my mind. Okay, so you're walking down the street and you see a penny. And so instinct is, ooh, find a penny, pick it up, all the day you'll have good luck. And you're like, wait a second, let me do the math behind this. Let's say every second you're picking up a penny. Every second you're picking up a penny. So that's 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour. So 60 times 60, 3,600. And then, so pennies to dollars. So it's basically $36 an hour. Okay, so if you're picking up a penny every second, that's the equivalent of $36 an hour. Okay, so then you have to ask yourself, okay, $36 an hour. So should I pick up the penny? Am I worth $36 an hour? You're like, oh, heck yeah, you know, I only make 20 bucks an hour. Grab the penny. Okay, cool. But then you say, well, wait a second. It doesn't actually take a second. You got to kind of bend down, pick it up, put it in your pocket. I'm thinking 3 seconds. 3 seconds, see the penny, reach down, grab it, put it in your pocket. 3 seconds if you're quick. Okay, so now instead of 36 an hour, it's 12 bucks an hour. 12 bucks an hour. Do I grab the penny? I'm not sure. Okay, now me, I'm a little bit germophobic. So let's say I pick up a penny off the ground. I did this recently. It was a quarter actually. If I pick up money off the ground, then I'm like, oh God, do I really want to put that in my pocket? Okay, I put it in my pocket, and then like, oh, now I gotta go wash my hands. Okay, best case scenario, a minute. Like it's gonna take washing my hands and drying them. It's gonna take longer than a minute, but let's just keep the math simple. So a penny, so that's 60 cents an hour. So for me, it's definitely not worth picking up a penny. And then, so once you do the math, you're like, okay, so I can walk by pennies now. I've trained myself. I see a penny. I want to grab it. I want to make a wish, but I'm like, no. It's not worth it. I'm going to have to wash my hands. It's only, 60 cents an hour. It's not worth it. Okay, so by that logic, in my world, a nickel is like $3 an hour. And then a dime would be like $6 an hour. So walking by nickels, that is tough. Sometimes if it's like a clean situation, or if I have on what I would consider like dirty clothes, I might grab it. But I've been training myself so I can walk past a penny, no problem. Walking past a nickel, it's a struggle. Walking past a dime is a struggle. And dimes, I don't know, I heard this weird thing one time where someone's like, dimes, it doesn't even make sense, but like a dime, seeing a dime on the ground and like picking it up, it's like someone up above is watching you and they put it there. I don't know, it doesn't make sense. So I always think about that with dimes because some crazy person told me that once. So I walk past nickels. I'm trying to walk past dimes. It's tough. And then a quarter. I keep touching the microphone. Hope that didn't make a weird noise. Because I do laundry, I like a pay machine, which requires quarters. I will pick up a quarter. I'm not sure if I should mathematically, if it's in my best interest, but I always pick up the quarter. And I always regret it, and I'm always angry because once I touch the quarter, then I'm like, I gotta go wash my hands. I'm that guy, the guy that has to wash his hands after he touches money. So now if you see a dollar, here's the problem with seeing a dollar. Why would someone drop a dollar? Did someone not notice the dollar? And also, I don't know if you watch this on the internet, but there's something called like poop dollars, where people will rub like fecal matter on the dollar and then just kind of videotape you from afar and watch you pick it up. Ugh. So I'm always very wary of a dollar bill. Yes, I grab it and then I always regret it and I'm angry, but it's so difficult to just walk past a dollar. A couple weeks ago I was at a concert and I was walking out the concert and they have the people cooking the bacon dogs, which have gotten pretty pricey. They're like $8 these days for a bacon dog, but after a concert, you're obviously going to buy a bacon dog, right? A little pricey. Back in the day, I'm thinking way back in the day, they're $1. Anywho. Okay. So I was at the bacon dog stand and I looked down on the ground and I saw what looked like $1. I'm like, oh man, $1. So I went and I grabbed it, put it in my pocket. Turned out to be a 20. Oh yeah, $20. Nothing better than finding $20, although, your pants are all dirty now and you had to wash your hands. A couple months ago, I was at the laundromat, and I guess laundromats are kind of gross, how everyone just washes their clothes in it. I don't know. But I guess you might argue that by definition, washing machine is clean. Okay, so when you open up the wash machine, there's that little kind of flappy stuff, so it's what's it called, like a vertical washing machine. So you open it up and then I guess it's called the gasket. It's kind of like that rubbery thing. I don't know why, I was kind of looking in there to clear out any gunk. $100 bill. Nice. So that was within the last couple months. I guess I've found $120. Not bad, not bad. Okay, so talking about the monies, we're billionaires. Oh, also with Louis. So think about like how we have movies, just movies on demand and TV. Back in the day, those were the equivalent of a play. Imagine getting an ensemble of 20 people and just being like, and action, go, entertain me. Okay, pause, I'm gonna go take a walk. And then when I come back, we're gonna pick up right where we left off. Like, that's the power we have right now as billionaires, as just being in modern society. Like, Louis the 14th could do that, but he'd have only one play. We have infinite number of movies and TV shows. It's insane. Also, imagine if Louis the 14th wanted to read a book and you could just be like, hey, servant, read me that book, right? We have that same service. It's called audiobook. So you just have someone reading a book to you. That's amazing. Oh, hey, I'm going to drive. Why don't you read this book to me while I drive? Okay. Oh, hey, person reading the book to me. Why don't you go back 2 minutes? I was kind of not paying attention. I was just staring at the coast. Go back 2 minutes. Okay. Hey, why don't you read louder for me, servant? Like, audiobooks, this is amazing. We have servants. Like, we are truly billionaires. And, speaking of audiobooks, let's say in the past, I kept saying how I read books. I listened to them on audiobook. So is there a better word? If I say I read a book and you found out that I listened to it on audiobook, are you that person that's offended? Are you like, whoa, you didn't actually read it, you listened to it? I'm like, well, whatever, I absorbed the information. What would you have preferred I said? Well, you should have said you listened to it on audiobook. Okay, that's like 8 to 10 words. How about I just say read? I read that book. I got all the same information. Yeah, but you didn't technically read it. Okay, so maybe we need to just come up with a new word for consuming media. Like, I read this book and listened to this book on audio. There needs to be a word that sort of means both or either, because it just doesn't matter. So I'm just going to use read until then. But yeah, words. I love words. If we had a word to describe that, that would be fantastic. Here's a word that's not in the English language that I love. I teach a lot of Persian students, and they're explaining something, and I'm like, wait, what is that? And so I guess they have different terms for aunt on the mother's side versus aunt on the father's side. And I'm like, oh my God, so genius, so genius. Like, how do we not have that in the English language? Like, there's so many words that could be useful. Aunt on the mother's side, aunt on the father's side. I don't know if they have like uncle on the mother's side, uncle on the father's side. They must. I'm not sure. So I was going through some pictures with some folks the other day, and there's a group of us, and we're looking at these pictures, and someone wasn't there, and so, of course you talk smack, and you're like, oh my God, like, she is so photogenic. And I was thinking to myself, photogenic, what exactly does photogenic mean? Because I felt like in that instance it was being used as sort of an insult. So like, yeah, there's good looking people who take pictures well. Oh, they're photogenic. Okay, but what about the person who's not really good looking, but for some reason the camera makes them look beautiful? That's when they go, oh, that person's really photogenic. And you're like, I don't like how you said that, but I get what you're saying. So photogenic, when someone says you're photogenic, you just have to think to yourself, am I a good-looking person that takes pictures well, or am I a really unattractive person that randomly, coincidentally, for some crazy reason, happens to take good pictures? Okay, so photogenic, weird word. Maybe we need to maybe we need to split up the definitions, come up with 2 new words, one for good-looking person who takes pictures well, and another word for not so good-looking person who, for some reason, takes amazing pictures. Okay. Yeah, speaking of photos, if you're at an event and you're not one of the main people, like let's say you're just a guest of a guest, sorta, what I do when I'm in those situations is I will just take a bunch of pictures of people. So I will be the photo guy. I'll just walk around with my camera and be like, Like let's say, so for example, this past weekend I was at a golf tournament. I was a friend of a friend at this golf tournament. So I went around. It was like called the Tintin 2000 or something. So I'd be like, hey, Tintin 2000, big smiles, and I'd get every group, and I took pictures of every group at that golf tournament. And then the next day I sent it to the organizers, and they were like, oh my God, that was so cool of you. Thank you very much. So that's something nice to do if you're a guest, friend of a friend at an event. But let's say you're like one of the main people at an event. So for example, I went on a trip recently and my friends are all lazy and they never take pictures. So I forced myself to take a bunch of pictures of everyone. And then also, I just kicked the little stand there. Earthquake. So I do not send those pictures out right away. So at the golf tournament, the next day, I thanked the people that organized it and I sent them a link to all the pictures so that they could send it to all the people that they directly invited. Okay, so if I'm sort of one of the main people at the event, so again, I went on a vacation with a bunch of people, I will hold on to those pictures because if you just send them the next day, no one really appreciates it. So a couple months later, you send it out to the folks and they're like, oh, snap, you took pictures at that event. Oh, that's so cool. So my point is, I'm always the photo guy. If someone else could be the photo guy or gal, much appreciated, much appreciated. Someone needs to take pictures. Someone needs to document the fun that's happening. And it's always me. So if it could be someone else, that would be really grand. What else we got going on here? Oh, taxes are coming up. Taxes. If you're working on your taxes right now, okay, really quickly, pick a number between 1 and 10 inclusively. So pick a number between 1 and 10. And, okay. You probably did not pick 1 or 2. Am I right? Okay, so it turns out there's this thing called Benford's Law. And generally speaking, numbers have sort of a natural distribution. So what the IRS does with your taxes, they look at the distribution of the last number, right? So if it's like $347, like that last number, the 7. So it turns out that when people, humans, are making up numbers, they neglect or they don't put the number 1 and the number 2 often enough. So when you're cheating on your taxes, make sure to add more 1s and 2s because otherwise it's going to be a dead giveaway and the algorithms at the IRS, the AI is going to catch you all because of Benford's Law. Benford's Law. Okay. Oh, one more idea. We're talking about words, cool words. So I stumbled upon this cool word. It's a Japanese word. How do I pronounce it? Oh, ikigai. Ikigai. So ikigai is, so apparently Westerners have totally changed its meaning. I like the Western meaning, but it's sort of like your life meaning, your life, your focus, what you bring to this planet. It's a complicated term, but it got completely Westernized, and I kind of enjoy how it got Westernized. So in Western culture, ikigai is there's 4 things that are going on. There's what you're good at. Okay, so think of a big Venn diagram. You could Google this also. So what you're good at, what you enjoy, what pays money, and what society needs. And so picture a Venn diagram with all 4 of those ideas. And ideally, if you could be doing something that satisfies all 4 of them, you'll reach ultimate happiness. And I realized that I actually have that. Like, I teach statistics at a few different colleges, and it's fantastic. I'm actually happy to go to work every day. I'm good at math. I'm good at teaching math. I can make money doing it. What was the other one? It helps society, and I'm good at it. Oh, and I enjoy it. Yeah. So the 4 things were all satisfied. And it's always fun when I'm talking to people. Like, as you get older, people want to retire, like successful people. And it's like, oh, what are you going to do? And they're like, I kind of just want to, like very successful people. I would love to just, teach like a college class on blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it makes perfect sense. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, like basically I'm living that awesome retired life you're talking about. I retired at age 25. I've been doing this forever. Like, yeah, ikigai. So try and find, if you haven't found it yet, try and find your ikigai. And if you're young, I always talk to people. I'll always ask you like, oh, like if you're still like K through 12, like, oh, what's your favorite subject? And then they'll be like, da da da, like, oh, it's history. And I'm like, oh, cool. Like, what class do you get your best grades in? History. So I found that when we're young, everyone always likes what they're good at. And I think as you get older, you come to realize you're like, oh, I might be really good at this one thing, but I actually enjoy this other thing a lot more. So something to keep an eye on when you talk to younger people. Look for that correlation. People, if you're good at something, then you enjoy that. But that's not necessarily the case. Think in terms of ikigai. A little confusing there at the end. Okay, well, hey, I'm glad you tuned in for another episode. I'm gonna put on my hat again because I'm a cool guy. I think the hat looks pretty cool. Okay, Rex time. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next week.